I'ma use it for the most high. Obey my call and save the youth for the most high. Worship the spirit and the truth to the most high. Bow my face, bend my knees to the most high. Pray Father, yeah, set me free to the most high. Right my wrongs, have it strong for the most high. Speak his word, live his word, now can you comply? I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you, most high. I love you, most high. I love you, most high. I love you. You can do it, but you gotta let the flesh die. Say R.I.P. to myself. Okay, good evening. I feel like it's been so long since I've made a live, and I almost feel like I don't know what I'm doing. But here we are. So, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. If you're watching the live, if you're watching the replay, I just want to talk. Um, if this is your first time joining the page, I know it is constantly growing. So, I want to thank you, first of all, for joining the page. I do not take that lightly. Welcome to Zoe D Speaks. I do want to give a disclaimer that, you may see some things that not only just encourage you and motivate you, but also maybe strike a nerve. And I think that tonight's topic will be one of those things that may strike a nerve, um, or it may not, or it may strike the nerves of somebody that you need to share it with. So, um, as you can see, yeah, I welcome you to the page. I really feel like I'm doing this all over again. So excuse me, I'm excited. It's almost like I've never went live before, so I'm excited. Um, so once again, just welcome to the page. The topic of today, and it really comes from my blog, Fanning the Flame, which you can find at Zoe Speaks, um, zoedspeaks.com. Is to the right, is really one of the most popular blogs I've ever written. But is a blog I did. I don't even know how long it's been. I did this blog, and it was titled "Dear Bitter Baby Mama," and so there are some things that I really probably struck a nerve with on that blog, but it's okay because sometimes the truth hurts. So I'm stemming off of that blog, and I've been wanting to blog. I have not just made the time to just sit down and blog. I want to blog about a lot of stuff, and I really need to get my little self together. But I wanted to have this conversation. I've been wanting to have this conversation, or at least um, go live, especially because it's one of the things that I'm going to hit on in The Strange Woman, which is an upcoming book. Officially will release in November. I know I've been talking about it for a minute, but The Strange Woman. But anyway, that's not what we're going to talk about right now. So the topic is bitter co-parents, because it's been brought to my attention that it's not just women that are bitter, and so I can't be biased and say, dear bitter baby mama. I gotta say, dear bitter baby daddy too. And it's a very uncomfortable topic, and I think for the most part because people don't want to accept responsibility for their actions. And so, just a couple of things that I really want to share, and I want to share it in a way that maybe um, it'll actually help someone, because um, I guess I can relate. Like, I was that bitter baby mama. So when I talk about, bitter baby mamas, like, I'm putting myself on the line first, because I had a child outside of wedlock, by a married man. And, it was all good in the beginning, um, and then I got pregnant. And when I got pregnant, things kind of flipped. And when things kind of flipped, I became like super bitter. I became super hurt. I became super, what's the word I'm looking for? like if I saw you, I would probably have wanted to kill you type thing. So I guess it's kind of homicidal. I really became homicidal, I guess you could say, in that situation because I felt like it was so undeserving. And I'm going to, I guess, start with myself because one of my missions with my ministry is to make sure that people understand I'm not coming from a place of condemnation. I've been in multiple situations that I can speak on because I know what it feels like. So, long story short, like I said, the guy and I, we were cool. He told me that he was actually legally separated. Me not doing my due diligence and just staying away from that situation. I basically went forth. I was newly divorced. I really didn't care about the marriage covenant. And I didn't have the wisdom to know that in Mississippi, you cannot be legally separated. You're divorced or you're married, and there's no in between. But he told me that he was legally separated. And for, you know, I don't know about how long it was. We talked almost every day. You know, um, he was a writer. We went back and forth with writing, and just we clicked on a lot of different ways. Um, and then I got pregnant, and it was one of those situations where we weren't even like really sleeping around. I had really kicked up my celibacy journey, and I talk about this a lot in a call to purity. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because the call to purity is where I really share in detail like this testimony. But I kicked back up my celibacy journey. I decided after all this extra stuff, I was just gonna be single, whatever, and I was gonna be pure. So we actually did not start off in a sexual manner, and plus like we didn't stay close to each other, so that was really like kind of out of the picture. So the one time, and I had several warnings, and like I said, I talk about this in the call to purity. I had several warnings to just um go down. I had a test to take for certification. I was supposed to take my certification test, and my mama told me um go and come back. Don't stay down there. And so me in arrogance, because I had been celibate for I think probably a few months or whatever, and me in arrogance, and me knowing like no, this is not going to go that far, or me thinking that it wasn't going to go that far. I stayed, and did to do whatever, and I came back home, and 2 weeks later on Easter Day I found out that I was pregnant. And that was like the first time ever in my life I contemplated abortion because, you know, I was newly divorced. I was trying to really get my life back together. I was about to lose my job. I just had a lot going on, and I'm like, I didn't want to bring a baby into that situation. And so, long story short, when I told him, he was just like, "You're kidding." I took 3 pregnancy tests. I took 3 because I just couldn't believe like wasn't no way that in that split of a second, like that happened. It happened, and he was not happy about that. And so we both, talked and contemplated abortion, and I had to, fess up to much of my spiritual accountability around me because I was a leader, and that was another main reason I didn't want to mess up, because I wanted to be a leader to the girls that looked up to me. And so, long story short, he wasn't happy. Our communication went from talking literally almost all day every day to like I don't even know when the next time I'm going to hear from you. And so from there, I just kind of tried to move on. And I remember the first time I saw the sonogram, and I saw the sonogram, and I let him know. I was like, you want to see the sonogram? And he texted me back, and he was like, no, I'm still, hoping like this ain't even true. And at this time, like I'm, it's May, like I think I was 2.5 months pregnant or something like that. So I grew like very hateful. I grew very hateful. And I share all that to say, like, when I say I understand. Like, I grew extremely hateful of him. I grew like just, I don't know, like, what's a deeper word than hate? Like, I don't even know. Like, I hated him. Like, I hated him. I resented him. I was angry at myself, but at the same time, I'm like, I didn't do this by myself. But at the same time, I'm only responsible for my um actions. And when I told my youth pastor, she said, pastor, she said, we live and we die by the consequences of the choices that we make. The child is not a mistake, but this is a consequence of something that you knew better with. And so for months, it was, we couldn't have a decent conversation without me, you know, just really, I can't say the word, but I was a female dog to him, and I know that I was, but he wasn't any better. Don't get me wrong, but I was definitely difficult. I became difficult. I named her. Without his input, it was just like, whatever, you don't want to be here, so let me just act like you don't exist. And so the things that he did want to have like an opinion on, I'm like, why the heck? Because remember, this ain't what you wanted, remember? And so we were always clashing, just always bumping heads on every single situation. And it became stressful even in the pregnancy, because you know I was carrying a child that literally, ultimately, like, neither one of us wanted. And so when she was first born, she was such an angry child, like, and she's total opposite today, but the energy that was fed into her, even at that age, that the energy of rejection, she was so angry. And so I had this one conversation. So we went through this situation. He wanted a blood test. We got the blood test, whatever. We went through the legal system with the child support courts and all that type of crap that I don't really like, but it is what it is. And so I remember one of my best friends, and I hope he doesn't mind me calling him out, because he changed my life. And even to this day, he doesn't know still how that one conversation literally changed my life as a woman. And so I was talking to him, and I was spouting, and I was complaining, I was going off. And like, if you knew me years ago, like, I like, feisty wasn't even the word. Like, it was feisty on 12. Like, and I'm still feisty, but obviously it's a holy feistiness. And so I'm just going off, and I was just telling him, I was like, and if he want to come see her, he need to drive down here just like he used to drive and come see me when and I'm just like, just going off. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to be making any sacrifices for him to see his daughter when he didn't even want her. He hasn't been here for me, you know but he didn't owe me that. And that's when that was the first realization that I had to deal with. The man owed me nothing. You would think, as a good person, or as a person that would reflect the type of person I am, that he would at least. And a lot of times, as parents, we say that, well, they could at least. But truthfully, like, people are people, and one of the things that he told me when we talked, he said, we don't know each other well enough to have a baby. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, it's too late for that. You know what I'm saying? If we didn't know each other well enough to have a baby, we didn't know each other well enough to be having sex. And at the end of the day, like, that's a truth that I had to live with, obviously, for the rest of my life, because she's here. you know and But going back to my best friend, Brian. So Brian tells me because I'm going off about what I'm not going to do. And if he wants to see her and he wants to be in her life, then he's going to have to do and Brian checked me. Brian said, you don't want to be the reason that she doesn't have a relationship with her father. Because if you are the reason she doesn't have a relationship with her father, she's going to grow up resenting you. And, like, I was like, but that's not fair. Like, that's not fair to me. I've been here. I've done this or whatever. Like, I've made all types of excuses in my heart. But at the end of the day, like, what he told me was completely truth. He was a jerk to me. That was between me and him. But that was still her father. And I had no right to, if I made the decision to make him her father, I had no right to make the decisions to exclude him out of her life. And that was a hard pill to swallow. That was a really hard pill to swallow because it didn't seem right. It just didn't seem right. And I felt like as a man, he may have been kind of taking up for him. But then I had to think like, no, this is my best friend. Like, he's literally knowing every single thing that I'm going through. And so he's there for me. You know what I'm saying? He's like, homie, I got you. She got a goddaddy. I don't care who's in her life, whatever, I'm, like, we gonna be straight. We gonna be all right. And he stuck to that word, but he checked me, and he told me, like, no, like, if he want to see her, you don't be the reason why she doesn't build a relationship with him. And so for years now, I've held that in my subconscious. And that's why I say, like, that word changed my life. Literally. Like, I was boohoo crying and everything. Like, it changed my life. And I didn't want to hear it. It didn't feel good. But as a fatherless child growing up, I knew, and I always wanted the father of my children to be in their lives. And so it was never an option for me to be married. It was never an option for me to make sure, what I'm saying? Like, I knew I don't want my children growing up without their dad. That's not something that needs to happen. And so I've taken a lot emotionally. I've taken people slandering and really, I can't even explain it. I've taken a lot. I've taken a lot on the strength of, I could be the same, but my children's relationship with their father is more important. And so that's my testimony. So let me get into a couple of things that I want to say that I believe hinders parents from being able to co-parent in a healthy relationship. And part of that goes back to bitterness and hurt. And a lot of people say, well, I ain't bitter. Yeah. Like, if I believe that if as women and men, we check ourselves at the door, if we as women and men check ourselves at the door and truly put the children first, there would be a lot less friction in co-parenting. And there are so many different situations. You have, like in my situation, we got a baby. We really was just fooling around and we ended up with a baby. You have the divorced couples who end up, separated after, they started a family. You have the couples who just were actually together, because I can say, like, me and her father, we literally hadn't established a relationship because of the pending divorce, which I still believe was a lie. I don't have the proof, but whatever, that's a different topic. So yeah, like, we have a lot of situations where our children end up caught in the crossfire. And a lot of times, you've if you've been following my page for a while, you've heard me say, heal the child and the adult will appear. That day, in that old store that I was working, that I was owning at the time, I remember, I can see myself now with tears coming down my eyes because I was so hurt. But I had to put my big girl panties on and I had to say, you laid down with him. You got this baby. He wasn't committed to you. You knew he wasn't committed to you. You knew that at the end of the day, if a situation like this happened, ultimately you are the one responsible because you're the only one responsible for you. So I hope that I can help, especially another young woman, because in our society, it seems like, of course, if you have a child and you're not really with that man, even if y'all are staying together, y'all not married or whatever, those kids are your responsibility. And what happens is you begin to make those kids like literally gods in your life. And we don't want to admit this either, but your kids become your everything. And a revelation that I had in addressing a particular situation, I had to, I saw myself as a fatherless child. And I saw, and this is not like me, but I just saw the situation. I saw myself as a fatherless child, and I saw these kids being the only neutral thing in my life, the only consistent thing in my life. And I saw the jealousy and the bitterness and the emotions come up to make the children everything. And so the thing about it is, if a father comes in this child's life, then I have to share her attention or with the other sexuality. I don't want my child to have a father in their life because guess what? He wasn't there for me. My daddy wasn't there for me. Ain't nobody been here for me but these kids. They're my all. They're my everything. Reason that I live, right? And so subconsciously, through the hurt and through the bitterness, we make, and I say we just to be general, we make our kids our everything. And we make ourselves everything to our kids. I've heard a lot of women say, I've heard a lot of women say a lot of things that has been dishonorable to the father. I've seen men dishonor the mother of their children. And at the end of the day, it's really a lot of unreleased hurt, unhealed hurt. And especially if you have bad baggage. Like me and this guy, we like literally we just had a lot of baggage. And if I could be honest, things aren't perfect now. But when I understood that if he's here, and if he's not, he's not, and this child is not going to skip a beat either way, I took peace. But that didn't mean that if he tries to be here, I'm going to say you don't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Whether I think so or not, my child deserves a relationship with her father. I posted even a couple of weeks ago, and I speak from a woman's point of view because I'm a woman. Like I can't really relate to a man and the issues that he may have being a bitter baby daddy. Like the only thing that I can think of with a bitter man is I you're not with the woman anymore. I don't know, but I do know that from a woman's point of view, it sometimes seems totally unfair that you have to carry the burden of a child that you didn't make by yourself. But once back to the decisions that were made. And a lot of times as women, we don't want to do that. We don't want to hold ourselves accountable. And a lot of times we make the relationships with their fathers difficult to have because, one, we really don't want them to have them, because if they have them, then we have to share. We have to share our children. And remember, we want them to be everything to us, and we want us to be everything to them. So I can't have anyone come in that can potentially take my child's attention away from me, because she's or he's my everything. They're my everything. So people, and especially the father, needs to know, like, I'm the one. I was mama, I was daddy. You know what I'm saying? I'm mama and daddy. But the truth is, you can't be both. A son needs his father. A daughter needs her father. That's the way that it was designed to be. And if we would step outside of our hurt, and we would step outside of pain and our arrogance and our stubbornness, we would likely see that, you know, this ain't about me. This is about this child relationship with, and that's what I was gonna say. I posted, it was a quote that my pastor had said. He said, you had that baby to trap him, and when that didn't work, you got bitter. And I'm let's be real, because I was that type of, I have been in situations where I felt like, if I had this man's baby, like, he would never leave me. And then you realize, like, for some men are just not going to sit around and be with you just because you got a child by them. And then you make it difficult for them to be in a child's life, because not only do you not want that child to have a father in their life because you didn't have one in yours, you are so the other parent that you is the only one that suffers. And for the ones that's gonna share it and say, my child's dad is toxic and blah 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 blah. Okay, let's get it. There are some fathers who are abusive. There are some fathers who maybe don't have their lives together or whatever. But let me ask you this: are you 100% a perfect mother? If you're the father that is very bitter toward the mother because she's not, she's this and she's that and she doesn't, are you 100% perfect? How is the relationship with the child, their parent? Point blank. And at the end of the day, no matter what type of person, not parent, person, no type of what type of person that person is, you made him the father or mother, or her the mother of your child. And this is what, I'll be brutally honest enough. I'll be brutally honest enough to kind of admit this. What I don't understand as a mother, when then now that we're not together, I'm such a horrible mother. I mean, come on. Like, let's have a real that type of stuff doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. If the reason that you wanted to have this man's child was because you loved him and thought that he would be a good father, you have a baby by him, he's actually a good father, should be in that child's life. what now condemns him as a bad father? And what makes you such a good mother that you get to determine that he's such a bad father that he or she doesn't need that father in their life? You know, I don't understand. Well, I do understand, but what I'm trying to convey is we need healing, because ultimately, how a woman relates to a man is going to stem from the relationship. How a woman is going to stem from her relationship with her father. And for us that are biblical, because I understand everybody on my page may not be, but I am, and so this is what's on my page. For us that are biblical, commandment: honor thy mother and thy father, so that their days may be long. It's the first commandment that comes with a promise. So when you are sowing discord and you're sowing hatred and you're sowing separation into the heart of your children for their father, you're teaching them to break the first commandment that promised them long life. So it's game to teach a child not to obey or not to honor their mother or their father. You know, like this is serious. And so then we wonder why our children grow up so broken in relationships, relationships at school, relationships with each other, relationships with other people. Like, as mothers, and I've seen this time and time and time and time again, as mothers, we X out completely the fathers and family in their lives. They have fathers who, Lord forbid, okay, they don't want to have it. Okay, they exist. I understand. That's not okay. And every time I said address women and what they're doing to create this, they is we make excuses. When if somebody was to tell you as a mother every single thing that you did wrong on a daily basis for your children, look, let's be honest. Keeping your children fed is not the only thing to parent. Making sure that they have clothes is not the only thing to parenting. Making sure that they go to school and get good grades is not the only thing to parenting. What type of relationship are you building? What type of communication habits are you building with your children? What type of attitudes are you having towards your children? You, you cussing and fussing them out and kind of way talking that like what that you just because you have the children. Let's be honest. Okay. So, and I'm not trying to bash, but page just hitting the heart is overlook rebuild communities with um children that are productive in society. Because what's going to happen is if we keep these cycles of hurt, broken children, grown people bodies, raising children with the same mindset, with the same habits with the same, then you're creating generational cycles of discord and dishonor and brokenness. Children need their fathers. So what, he doesn't want you. Okay. So what? She doesn't want you. Okay. What does that have to do with wanting their children? What does that have to do? You have older kids. Once your kids are older, like there is so much space, like you don't really necessarily have to really interact with each other. You know, I have a I have a certain expectation when it comes to how I want to co-parent. And I refuse to deal with toxicity. I refuse to deal with lies and manipulation and all that type of stuff that comes, with the baby daddy and baby mama drama. So if, as an adult, for me, if we can't get on one accord, baby, I don't have to go through you for you to have. You ain't got to come through me for you to have a relationship with your children. I'm gonna make it as easy and as seemingly as possible for you to see your kids and for you to talk to your kids. And I can guarantee you, if anybody says anything different, it's a bold-faced lie. You don't have to necessarily have a relationship. Y'all ain't got to be hee and ha ha and cool for that person to be in your child's life. And stop trying to control the communication. The only time that a child can talk to their other parent is through you. Why? So at the end of the day, it just comes back around to the bitterness comes from hurt. When you heal, you know what that person is doing. You wish them well. It is they're not the parent was peace over it. Why are we as bitter co-parents affected? And I'm using these terms we and all that because this doesn't apply to me in the sense of me. I'm speaking generally for men that are enduring. I'm really to relate to this and hoping to be avoid reasoning somebody to help somebody. And another thing I want to say, if you know that a person is being just unreasonable with the other parent, say something. Whether you're the other person that this person is with, or whether you're a family member, whether you're a friend. But now, what do we do as women, especially? That nigga ain't. He don't even do this. He don't even do that. He don't even do. Okay, like, like, is the child the one that we're really caring about here, or is it that they're not coming to your standards? They're not coming to your standards of parenting. They're not coming to your standards of how they should treat you. At some point, it's over. It's over. At some point, it should be completely over with how you feel about the other parent or how that other parent feels about you. It is not even if what you feel is true about them. Matter if it's not going to produce, like, I'm beyond frustrated at seeing so much of our children being neglected by their parents because of situations that grown people can't work out. Like, I'm overly frustrated with that. I see it on my timeline. I see it in people I know. I see it in family. I see it, like, it's frustrating because at the end of the day, children need their mothers. We are all grown. We are all. I may not some people in my eyes are not the perfect parents. We're not looking for perfection. We're looking to be the best interest for this child. My children have been a big influence on my businesses, my lifestyle, my diet, big influence on the people, the relationships. I I left the type of relationships I wouldn't entangle myself in. And I understand everybody doesn't want the same thing. So, you know, that may be here or there, but at the end of the day, we need mothers that care enough about their children to make it a priority. Father to be, then you can't. But what you can control is how to your child. You should child in a position in a situation or position so where that child sees you dishonoring or sees the dishonor for him. That's your child. She or he loves you. So of course, if my child thinks that some mama, my children gonna ride for me. It's children. They're loyal. They're innocent. You know what I'm saying? So that's just not cool. And then by default, I'm gonna say this: curse that man, you curse his seed. When you curse that man, you curse his seed. You do better off just saying nothing at all, because that's a part of him still. As a father, you curse that mother, you're cursing your own seed. The love for your child can't be that real for you to completely want to dis just completely disintegrate everything about that child. And we just really need a wake-up call. We need real conversations. We need to understand that we have to be held accountable for the decisions that we make. You were old, you were together, excuse me, you weren't together, you were married, you were divorced, whatever the situation, we made decisions to have these children. And our children do not deserve to go through the consequences of our decisions. So we need to heal. When that hurt is gone, you can think. When you're over that person, you can think, because now it's not about how they hurt you and you're not reacting to this person from how they hurt you. You're reacting to this person on the fact, okay, well, this is a part of my child's family. This is a part of my child. My child needs this parent as much as my child needs me. This is the reality that comes when you're about healing. Reality that you're talking about healthy children. I'm not talking about if a parent is toxic and all that type of stuff, if abusive, sexual abusive and all, because y'all uses and take things completely far. I'm talking about situations where you have parents that intentionally, I've seen it. I see y'all intentionally enter and destroy the relationship of the father and child and the mother and child because you are broken and you're raising a broken generation who's 9 times out of 10, if those children don't become healed, they're going to repeat the same cycle. So you have the generation. We see it in these Tyler Perry movies. Y'all know. You see it in Tyler Perry movies. You have the generations of women who all they need is each other. That's a totally different topic. So I'm going to end here. And let's do better. So if you like it, you can relate. You know somebody who needs to hear it. You ain't even got to point them out. You ain't got to just them to post anyway. So just share it. You want to read the blog, it's at .com. Just go there. That's the blog. And then The Strange Woman, which comes out November, end of November, will be out, which we'll talk a lot about just women, the revelation that I've had as a woman in different situations in my life where I've been men's downfall. So let's get it, you guys. Hopefully I can turn this off decently so that I'm crazy.